Greetings, makers. This is Amy with Soft Twin Crafting. I'm an independent demonstrator from Stampin' Up. Today, we're going to turn some simple paper into handmade magic. So grab your supplies and let's get started. So today, I'm going to be using Gears and Textures from the new catalog from the, well, it's not really in the new May-August Stampin' Up catalog. Well, you know what? I'm just not all that familiar with the catalog. I'm just a kind of a hobbyist. Let's take a look in the back in the index. This is Stampin' Up! Has gone, instead of one major catalog per year, it's gone into a quarterly catalog. And so we'll have 3 catalogs through the year for 4 months. So we have this May through August. And then in September, we're going to come out with a new one. And then in the spring, there'll be a new one. And then the summer, there'll be a new one. So we also have online exclusives. And Gears and Textures came out as an online exclusive. And then we had some of the stamp sets actually went into the new catalog. And yes, it did. The Gears and Textures went into the May and August catalog, and it went in on page 47. So if we go to page 47 in the catalog, here it is. So it comes in as a bundle. So if you buy the stamps and the dies at this together, you save 10%, but you can buy them separately. And right now, though, if you try to buy them together, the dies are not available. They'll be coming back in stock soon. If you sign up for an email, they will let you know as soon as the dies are available. But the stamps are super, super cute as well. But anyway, I've had this for a while, and I've used it a little bit just on my own, but I wanted to make a Father's Day card, and I wanted to show you some of the things that you can do with it. Okay, so as soon as the dies are back available, you can get those coming in. There's still some time before Father's Day, so hopefully those will become available. So let me put this aside and kind of show you what we're going to do. So for paper-wise, and I put it aside, where did I put it? All right, for the paper, we're going to use the Nature Walk Designer Series paper. So this has been out for a while too. It came as part of a set. I think it was Nature Symphony, but it's some really pretty Designer Series paper, and I've used it before in making a video. And we're going to use it again for this Father's Day card because it's very good for masculine type cards. But anyway, it's super pretty. We're going to use that today. All right, so let me tell you what we're going to use. We're going to start with a card base, okay, of Lost Lagoon. And this card base is 8.5 by 5 1/4. And I scored it at 5.5, but also at 2 and, let me say that again. This is scored pretty much normally. I said it backwards. Okay, so it is 8.5 by 5 1/4, or 5.5, and scored at 4 1/4. So I'm mixing up. I'm going to put all of this in the description, by the way. And then it's scored again at 2 1/8. Okay, because we're going to make an easel card. So basically, we're going to score it like this. And then we're going to take this and we're going to score it like this. So it's going to sit up like this on our, when we display it. Okay, but anyway, so there we go. So that's our card base. So we're going to need some Designer Series paper, and this is where we're going to use our the Nature's Walk paper. So I cut a piece of this. This is the same page. We're going to use 2 different sizes of it, and it is 5 1/4. Okay, actually I scored a little longer. I did this at 5 3/8 by 2. So it's just a little less than an eighth less than what you would normally do. So I have 2 pieces cut by that. So we're going to use one side this way and the other side this way. Then for the inside, I have a set of designer series paper. This is our regular 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then I have some basic beige, and it is 5 by 3 1/4. Okay, so it's going to sit like this inside the card. Okay, so that's for the inside. Then we need some scrap basic beige, and then I took I had some scrap paper that was it was I don't even remember. This paper was so old, I can't remember. Soft succulent, I think is what it was. And I just grabbed it. I don't know why. And I cut some chain using the dies that matched this stamp here, but I just cut it out from the dies here. And you can see from this die, because I want to use this as my stop on my easel card for when I open it up. All right. So I cut 4 of those because we're going to glue them together. And then I cut out a whole bunch of gears. And I cut these out of some scrap Lost Lagoon. But we're going to kind of like, tarnish them up a bit to make them look a little used and, but also pretty at the same time. Okay. But I cut them ahead of time using the gear dies. Okay, so we have the dies here, and I cut them out in order to kind of save some time here on the video. So let me go ahead and set these aside for the moment. But right now we're going to do some stamping on our designer series paper. Okay, so on this piece, we're just going to go ahead and glue to the top of our card. Okay. Actually, first, before we do that, we're going to do some stamping on it. So I'm going to take some Pretty Peacock. Let me get out my stamps so we can have those out to work with. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with this kind of, I don't know, to me, I call it the ladder piece, but it's not really a ladder. I don't know what this piece is in thing. So we have it here, it's long. And I just want to just adding some stamps here on the designer series paper to add some interest to it. So I'm going to do a piece over here. Remember, you want to just stamp flat. And you want to hold it a second in order to, and I didn't stamp that very straight. I don't think my stamp went on very straight. And then we're just going to come over here and just do it on the other side. You want to hold that a little so the ink transfers. Okay. And then we're going to glue, this will be the top piece. Okay. All right. Let me get my chamois so I can clean this up real quick before I put it back. All right, so at the bottom piece, we're going to do a bunch of different things. All right, so where is my bottom sheet? Right here. So this time I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to go to the grid side. And I'm going to add some different kinds of stamps on here just to add a little bit more interest again. And I'm going to, since I already have my Pretty Peacock open, I'm going to grab this grid piece. No, I want to do the net. I'm going to do the net. And I need a block for the net. And I don't know where my smaller net size went. We'll go here. One thing you have to make sure is that the stamp side on these polymers is actually facing up, because I have actually put it down like this and stamped it. Why is the stamp it not stamping? Okay, so do make sure that you have it stamped up the right way. Okay, so we're going to ink it up. And we're just going to kind of like stamp it around at a few places. We're going to turn it around. Just kind of keep, just not in the same directions. just kind of like keeping it kind of off kilter. Okay. I'm going to add some, take that now, and now I'm going to grab my, let's go with basic gray. And I'm going to grab the dots. And I need a bigger block. Okay, what I want to do, I'm sorry, I'm being all over the place here. And I'm going to, what I want to do here is I'm going to just kind of like lightly, I'm going to stamp off a little bit. And then I'm going to kind of like lightly stamp. I'm going to stamp off, turn, lightly stamp, stamp off, lightly stamp, stamp off, lightly stamp. Okay. And now I need to wipe that up before I accidentally stick something in it. And let's go ahead, and I feel like I'm very discombobulated today. I'm trying to get this video done before my husband comes home, because when he turns on the TV, sometimes it's very loud. And then what I want to do, let's see, I want to add, I wanted to do some, some Night of Navy. And I want to add these, I don't know, these chevrons. But again, I don't want to do this in full strength of Night of Navy, so I'm going to stamp off. So I'm going to ink it up, and then I'm going to stamp off on the side, and then I'm going to just stamp over here. Again, stamp off, and I'm going to turn it, because I don't want them all being in the same direction. Stamp. Stamp off. You can change your direction. Stamp. Stamp off. Let's see, I'm going to go this way this time. There we go. And again, clean that up before I stick something in it, because anyone who knows me knows that I have a tendency to drop things in my ink, stick my fingers, especially my fingers, goes into the ink. Okay. And then the last thing I want to do is I want to grab my Lost Lagoon. But before I do that, I do want to clean this thing, because I want to use that block. And I didn't clean that very well, and I'm going to get ink all over myself. And whatever else I want to do. Why is that? I'm not a very neat crafter. Okay, I'm just letting y'all know that right now. I'm not very neat. And I want to grab the gear. I want the small gear. I want a smaller block, so I don't have as much room to get ink all over the place. And I am going to grab my Lost Lagoon, and I'm going to, I like Lost Lagoon because it's kind of a lighter color. And I'm just going to kind of fill in some of these places on the cardstock. And I think that looks really good. Okay. And so while we have the ink, well, I should do this while we have the ink out. Let's go ahead and do our other inking as well. So, I should say our stamping, that would be a better way of putting it. Okay. All right, so for the inside of the card, where did I put it? It's right here. And I need some scrap basic beige as well. Okay, so here, what I want to do is I'm going to use something different. I'm going to use my stripes. See if this big block big enough. Nope. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use a light color. We use the... Just going to add this here at the corner. I am going to clean this up before I forget. I am going to grab, now I don't have very many Father's Day stamps, so I don't know why, and there's none that I have yet gotten. So I have this is a very old stamp set. So I have, it does say Happy Father's Day, and I thought this would be cute for on the front. Where is it? Beside me all the way, Happy Father's Day, remind. And because of the gears are they're always beside. I don't know. It just made sense in my mind. It may not make sense to anybody else's mind, but I'm going to do this. So I'm going to use that. If we use whatever Father's Day stamps you have, because in this particular, gears don't have any sentiments with it. So use what you have. That's all you can do, right? So let me grab this. Now, of course, with these the red rubber stamps, you can't see through them. So it's a whole excuse me, it's a whole different thing in terms of being able to see what you're stamping. So I suggest you stamp off first to kind of test it and make sure it's straight. So I'm going to stamp it over here on the side. Make sure, I'm sorry if my head gets in the way, but I just want to make sure it's kind of straight. It is. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of try to ink it up good, because sometimes my pretty peacock doesn't come up as dark as I want. And I'm just going to kind of, and hopefully it comes out straight like I tested. Oh, good. There you go. Let me wipe this test piece up. And one more stamp, the Beside You all the way. And I don't know where, oh, right there in front of me. Okay, so this piece I'm going to put on my scrap because I'm going to punch it out. So, and there we go. And that's all technically the stamping that we are going to do on this particular card. So let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and punch this out. And then we'll be ready to go. Hopefully I don't lose that between now and when we make the card. So let's put this, I'm going to move the stamps out of the way for a second. We're going to do some gluing just to get some of these things out of the way, because I have a tendency to lose things between now and the time I want to use them. Because like I said, I'm a messy crafter. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and lay this. You want to make sure, use whatever adhesives you have. I like the green glue the best. I live in a very humid area, and sometimes the other stuffs, after time, things kind of come off. So, at least especially if I'm making 3D things. So, and with the green glue, it doesn't take a lot of glue. Okay. And then for the inside, we're going to go ahead and start with this piece. Well, just some news for everyone. I have about 1 week until I retire. So coming up, my students have finals this week, graduation next Saturday, and then I am officially retired. So hope to do a lot more crafting. We'll probably have to, well, I know I'll have to substitute or something. Pensions don't go a long ways, but hopefully we'll still have a lot more crafting in my future. All right, so there we have the top. So now we're going to do some things to put on our easel card as we set it up. Okay, so some gears to put on there. Okay, so like I said, I already kind of pre-cut the gears, but I'd like to make them look a little tarnished. And what we're going to do is we're going to add some interest to that by adding, okay, I'm losing my words. We are going to emboss them. Thank you. Okay. No, I had to find my words. So we're going to use some gold embossing powder, but we're also going to add some silver embossing powder. And when I was thinking about this, I was like, gosh, I had some very old paper, and I was cutting it out, and I was like, gosh, that paper's so pretty, and it has like, to me, it looks like, gosh, it's some really old, this like soft, succulent, shiny paper, and it has some gold. And I thought, gosh, that would be so pretty with like silver. And I don't know, it just came into my mind, why not use like different embossing powders on some cardstock? And that's what we're going to do today. All right, so one of the things that y'all need to keep in mind when you are embossing, if you are new to embossing, you do want to make sure that you are using your embossing buddy it's filled with cornstarch, because embossing, you want to get the oils and things out of the paper so that things don't stick where they're not supposed to stick. Oh, and one of the things I need to do is I need to bring in some paper because I want to be able to get my powders off of here. So we're going to grab these things and we're going to kind of emboss them. I hope I'm in camera view. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to kind of add some cornstarch, get that going, because we're going to use that Versamark, which is very sticky, and we're going to stamp up these gears, and then we're going to emboss it with one powder, and then we're going to emboss it with another powder. We'll see how that goes. Oh, and we're going to do one of these chains, just one, because the others are going to be our layers underneath. All right. All right, so here, let's grab some Versamark, and we do need a stamp. And we're going to use the dotted stamp. And I need to grab, and I'm getting ink again all over myself. And make sure I'm getting the right side. Yes. Already y'all know that's not my thing. Okay, so we're going to ink this up with the Versamark. And we're just going to kind of like stamp it up. Okay, so we're going to do the same here. And you want to be careful. Here, let me grab the tweezers so I'm not getting my oils from my fingers back all over this. And now, of course, these are small ones, so they don't want to come off. Uh-oh, I hope I got the right side. Flip that over. This is kind of like... Now, the Versamark does stay sticky for a while, so we're good to go there. Okay. You don't need to overdo it with this because we're going to add more embossing powder. We're going to do more. Okay, so now here's the thing. I've not done too many things of this, and I'm not using my tray, so we're just going to use the old paper. So let's start with the gold embossing powder. I'm just going to sprinkle it on. I shouldn't say sprinkle, I'm really pouring it on. Okay. And then I'm just going to go in and I'm going to grab them and they're little. And I probably should. This is probably not the best way to do it. If I come up with a different way that's a little bit more convenient, I will let you know. Probably should have done it. Yeah, probably would have been better to do it one at a time in the tray. Okay, so let me put that down. Let's get this paper out of the powder out of the way. Now we're not going to use the same side because then as I try to pour back powder, it's going to get mixed up. So let me get this out of the way. So we'll definitely be using the other side to that. But now we're going to emboss. So let me grab with my tweezers. I might not be able to hear me too well, but see, we're just watch that powder melt. Okay. Uh-oh, they're all going all over the place. That was not the plan. Okay, so we got one set done, and so now the idea is to go back and do this again using the silver. So now I'm going to turn my paper over so I don't mix my embossing powders. Okay, and come back with the Versamark, and I'm still using the same stamp. Okay, and I am going to still again stamp with the Versamark back on. And the chain. And it doesn't matter if it's on top of the gold, by the gold. It's just, the idea is that it kind of mixes. All right, so let me grab my silver powder. Sorry, there we go. And we're doing the same thing. We're going to pour the silver powder all over the gears. it's hard to talk and think and emboss at the same time. I'm not very good at that. Okay, so I don't know. I was very excited when I was thinking about this the other night. So I hope this is something that you all will want to try. But I just thought it was such a cool idea with these gears to give it that kind of tarnished but kind of elegant look. And I got just caught on my sleeve. So let me get this out of the way. And we're going to do the last bit of embossing. So here we go. Let me grab that and see, I think that's so pretty with the gold and silver mixed on top of each other. Okay. Okay. Let me make sure I'm grabbing in a spot. I'm trying to make sure I don't blow away my gears this time. That one that was a lot, but that's okay. Woo! That was a nice save, nice save. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to make sure, grab it. Okay. And that's it. That's the last one. All right, so let's take a look at how these turned out. I just think that's so wild with them all kind of mixed together. It does remind me of the paper, but I just think this is so cool. And you could do it also with the copper embossing powder as well as the gold. I just wanted to try the gold today. All right, so let me go ahead and get this out of the slide. And what we're going to do is we are going to kind of start to put all this together. All right, so what I want to do is for on the top of the card, let me put this aside. We're going to go ahead and arrange our gears. And what I'm going to do is I bought these off of Amazon. These are kind of, I don't even know what you would call these. They're kind of like, I can't find my words. Again, these are like ball bearings, I guess. They're spinners. And Dawn from Dawn Stampin' Thoughts, she was using them for a spinner card, and so I got them from her. And so I thought those would be nice for like spinner things. And I immediately thought of the gears. She was using them for something else. She did like a Band-Aid card for spinner Band-Aid. And I thought, oh, those would be nice on using on the gears, for the gears and texture. So that's what I'm going to use them for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a glue dot. Okay. And I'm going to start by adding a glue dot, and you want to keep your glue dots as flat as you can. And I'm going to add it to the small part of the ball bearing. And I'm going to add it, kind of like lay it to the top. And of course, my glue dot wants to stretch and thick and come back at me crazy. Okay, so I'm going to put it to the back, put it kind of like on the center. Now, of course, this is going to make it difficult to mail. So you're going to have to put it in like a padded envelope and add extra postage. But you should still be able to mail it that way, but you're not going to be able to just stick it in a regular envelope. So just be aware. Okay, and then we're going to add another glue dot to the back of this. Grab it. And you know what? That one just rolled up. So let's try again. Okay. All right, so let's just try to add that. All right, so let's kind of I want this to be kind of the center of my card. See, look, it's already wanting to spin before I even really get it going. So, if you wanted more spinny things, you could definitely do that. I want to, let's see, this is going to be, let me go ahead and just glue this down. And the thing is, you can have it extend up here because you're going to have this bend anyway, right? Okay, so I'm going to have this one. Let's go ahead and that one there. Let's put this one. You can see I don't really have a plan after that. And then, oh, I should put this one over here. This would make more sense over here. And then this one we could put, let's put a dimensional. Not a big one. Let's get a small one. I mean, if you wanted to put another spinner on it, I guess you could. And then there you go. Oops, now I caused it to the spinner to not spin because it's, there we go. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to create a stop so that our thing will display. Okay, so let me grab my silicone, what I have left. I had to go out and buy some silicone mat. I lost my silicone mat. It disappeared out of my craft room. So I went and bought some silicone from Amazon somewhere, and I cut it down so it would fit. Going to add some glue. But these are my 3 chains. The chains that I bought, we're going to use them to build up a stop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some glue. Now you can use a dauber. Someone online, I think it was Stamp Your Art Out, Rachel from Stamp Your Art Out. She used a silicone brush, like a pastry brush from the Dollar Tree, and I told my husband that, and he was like, just use here, I have a brush, and he gave me, it's a big barbecue brush, and so it's this huge thing, but it works. So it's just a little more brush than I would like. So I'm just gonna grab and put some glue on it, and we're just gonna layer the other pieces on it. And we're just going to build up a stop. Now, normally on easel cards, what you can do is you can like cut out little rectangles or things and then use dimensionals to build it up. But you wouldn't be able to do that with the chain because there's no place to hide the dimensionals. It's so, see-through and stuff. So I decided that I was going to just glue a bunch of them together, and we're going to use that to build up our little stop to make our easel card. So we're going to do that. So I have one more. And then we're going to do the embossed piece as the top layer. Okay. Let me get this out of the way. Oops. You know what we do? One thing left. Turn it over. Oh, no. We're going to do something different just so it's not so sticky. All right. So now we're ready to put it inside the card. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to add some little dots of glue. Just trying to be light. I'm usually fairly heavy-handed, so I'm trying to be light. And the idea here is this is going to keep the card from doing what it's doing right now, right? Because you're going to write your message here at the top, and then it's going to kind of hide it, keep the card from sliding all the way under. So I'm just going to position it where I want the card to open up to. Let's move it over a little bit more. And I know it's hard to see right there, but see if I can turn the card so that you can see it. So there we go. There's our easel card for Father's Day. So I will put the measurements for everything in the description for the video. And I hope this is something that you enjoyed. It's bending from the embossing. But, whoops, sorry about that. I just lost my heat gun. But I hope you enjoyed this technique of the double embossing. And it's something that you might be able to use on some of your other cards. And if you enjoyed this video, I hope you will give it a like, that you would subscribe to my video, that you might share it. It would really help the algorithm. I am just a hobbyist video, but I do like for people to be able to see my videos and maybe to learn something from them. And if you have an inkling, if you would like to buy anything from Stampin' Up! From my online store, you can go to softwindcrafting.stampinup.net. I'll include a link also in the description as well. And I hope you enjoy this, and we'll come back and share with me some other videos. And I hope you all have a great week and a good start to your summers, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.